Hi, I'm Cheryl. I've got a Mother's Day card for our project today, and you see the nice metallic accents that I have on the front here. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then on the inside I've decorated it too, and I stamped this nice sentiment. So let me go over the materials we're going to use. We need a piece of Pool Party cardstock. That's 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded 4 1/4, your standard card base size. The piece of, I have several pieces of Whisper White. I have one that's 4 7/8 by 3 5/8, and that will be for the outside of our card. I have a piece that's 5 1/4 by 4 for the inside. And then I have another, just kind of a scrap piece, and you'll notice this is the one that I cut the little Happy Mother's Day medallion out of. And so I'm going to use up this paper, and that, maybe a 2 by 2 piece for that, depending on how accurately you stamp and can punch out the circle. And then I have a piece of Blushing Bride cardstock that's 5 by 3 3/4, and that will go on the outside of the card also. And all these measurements will be down below in my materials list. We're using the First Sight stamp set, and from that we're using the sentiment for the inside of the card. As I have loved you, Mother, since I opened my eyes. And we're also going to use this big flourish over on the side here. Then from Crazy About You. Oh, and by the way, who was that? Somebody suggested I tip the stamp holder things forward. And that's working really great. So thank you. Darn, I forget what the name was. But great suggestion. And I'm going to be using this stamp from the Crazy About You set. And then from the Oh So Succulent stamp set, I'm just using Happy Mother's Day. So if you don't have that, well then go to the Word what the heck is it, on Microsoft Word, and make yourself a little Happy Mother's Day thing. You can punch that out with your circle punch, which leads us to the circle punch, and it's a 1 1/4 inch circle that I'm using. If you've got a 1 1/2 inch one, well, that's fine too. We've got Tombow glue, Snail. We've got some sponge daubers. If you've got a sponge dauber on its way out, it's a good project to use this on. And I have one. Yep, it's this one. That's starting to get a little ragged looking. We've got a piece of 5/8 inch wide ribbon, and it's about a 6 inch piece. And I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to use this glittery ribbon on this card. You see, I used a different ribbon on here. It's got a little coppery, shiny trim on it. But I'm gonna go full glitter on this one. And I have acrylic paint. Make sure it's acrylic paint. You don't want to use anything that's going to be that's permanent, that's not water soluble, that you can't wash off. And the brand is Ceramicoat, it's Delta Ceramicoat, and it's metallic 14 karat gold is what I'm using. And ink pads, we've got our Tuxedo Black, Memento ink, Pool Party, Cajun Craze, Blushing Bride. I've got masking tape because we're going to be masking off a stamp. I've got a tile here. You can use anything non-porous to put your paint down on. A piece of styrofoam, I don't know, piece of plastic, a plate, anything. I've got a tile. I've got a ceramic tile. And I also have, this is the embossing mat from my Cuttlebug. I'm going to use that because I got that big solid flower. I want to make sure that and it's a photopolymer stamp. I want to make sure I get a good impression with it. So I've got that. I'm going to leave that out because I'll be using that pretty soon, I think. And then what you can't see off to the side here is I have a bowl of water. I've got several cotton swabs, and I also have one of my microfiber cloths because we're going to have to clean our stamps very well because we're using the acrylic paint, and we do not want that to dry on our stamps. Alright, so let's get started on this. Let's do some stamping. I'll show you how I got that metallic look on these cards. But first we need to, we're going to sponge the background, and we'll be using the Blushing Bride and Pool Party. I don't know, did I say that was Soft Sky before? If I did, it's not. It's Pool Party. Would it help if I opened these correctly? Okay, so I'm going to start with my Blushing Bride and just sponge on. I kind of made it go, kind of made it go side to side. I hope that didn't make you dizzy, me doing that. So like just streaks from side to side on the card. Just a light background here, a little something something to keep it from being just plain white. Okay, so I think that's enough Blushing Bride. We'll get, oh, let me bring in the inside piece and we'll do that one also. Oop. Well, darn, I dropped it. It's alright though, it didn't fall into the black hole. Alright, so we're just going to do this a little bit at the top. We're going to leave this little center section. It would be like this for you. This little center section here, we're not going to really get too much in there because that's where we're going to stamp the inside sentiment. So kind of just off to the sides, towards the top of your page. Just putting a little bit of color in there. Alright, now we'll move on to the Pool Party. We're done with Blushing Bride. I can set that aside. And get some Pool Party. I always like to, I've got the silicone mat here. I just like to work that into my sponge a little bit. And wherever we didn't have Blushing Bride, we'll put a little bit of the Pool Party. Another nice thing about doing this on a silicone mat is I can pick up just a little bit of, if I just need a little bit more of the ink color, I can just pick up a little more of it off of my mat here. Okay, so that looks good. And we'll do the inside part of the card here. Okay, that's fine. We just need a little touch of color in there. And then, let's see, do I have an, I'll add a little bit of more of the, ooh, that got dark, didn't it? Add a little more of the Pool Party here because I can, I've already got ink on part of it, so I'll use that for my little circle medallion. Okay, now we get to the fun part. we'll do the stamping. Alright, so I bring the front of the card in, and let's see, there's my flower stamp. Now, I find it's best to get everything all set up before you start. So I've got my stamp on my block, I've got my tile here, I've got my ink pad. I'll open that up. I've got my slightly worn sponge dauber here, and I've got my acrylic paint. And shake that up and put some out here on my tile. You don't need a whole lot of it. Okay, so now I'm set. I have everything I need. I'll ink up my stamp real well. Make sure that's covered with the Cajun. Oh, by the way, we're using Cajun Craze for that. Okay, so now I've got it inked. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sponge dauber. I'm going to pull this paint out a little bit so I get a thin coating on my sponge. You see, there's no big globs of it on there. So we'll get some of that on there. Check that, okay. And then just all around the tips of the flower, I'm going to add some of that. And yes, it does pick up some of the ink. That's okay. All around the tips. Just daub that on. And then I put a little bit around on the inside of the flower too. Okay, so you see you can see I've got that metallic paint on there. And even though it's gold, it makes it more of a coppery color when it's actually stamped. So I'm going to huff on it a couple times because we've taken this time to put the paint on. So a spritzer would be too much. And let's see, right about there I'm going to stamp it. A spritzer would be too much water, but if you huff on it a few times, then the moisture from your breath will reactivate that ink. Okay, so let's see how we did with our impression. Oh, and it came out beautifully. Look at this. That's so pretty. And this is where the water comes in. I'm going to take this off right now. I'm going to put it in the water. And then I'll clean that well later. But that goes right into my bowl of water. So now we're going to do the flourishes. And this is going to take a little bit of time because between each of these, stamping each of these, I have to clean it. And you have to clean yours. Okay? So I've got that inked up. Just going to get some of that gold. I'm just going to dab it just randomly on the stamp. I'm not covering all of it, just random spots on it. And then I'm going to, let's see. I can get that right in here. Right there. Okay. So now I have to clean it. So I'm going to take it over with my water. Because we're going to have to ink this up again. And we don't want that acrylic paint to get onto our ink pad. Okay. So let me check that well. Because sometimes that paint gets down in the little crevices and you don't want that. Okay, this is where my little cotton swabs come in. I can get right down in there. Okay, that looks good. So we'll ink that up again. And daub on some of the gold paint. Just random. Oops. I got a glob of it there. Let me get that little cotton swab. I want to get that out of there. Okay. And let's see. We're going to want some. I think I'll put some I put it right here. And I think I have enough ink. I can use the other side here. There we go. And do I want more? Yeah, I think I need some more on the top. So let me wash that off again. Get that dried up pretty good. I'm just going to ink up one little corner here. Get a little more of the paint. Because all I need is just a little something something up in the corner here. There. And wash it again. See, I told you we were going to wash that stamp a lot. And dry it off. Okay, now we can do the inside of the card. Let me just put this aside here. Grab the inside. And again, we're going to ink that up. Get some of the gold paint. See, I told you we didn't use a lot. Look how much I have left there. Okay, and just random. And let's do a nice big one over here. Okay, do I have enough ink? I don't think I do. Let me clean that up. Okay, clean and dry. We'll re-ink it. And dab on some of our paint again. Okay. And I think I'll have this flourish kind of come in from the side. And that should still leave plenty of room for my thing. Alright, so we're done with this. Into the water it goes. There. Oh, while we have this out here, let's stamp our sentiment on the inside. Oh, gotta get rid of the Cajun Craze so I don't put my arm in it. So we'll get the Memento ink out. Got our Tuxedo black. You don't have to use Memento. You can use any black ink you want. But the Memento black, Tuxedo black is pretty much my go-to black. Okay, so there we go. We have that, the inside completed. I can put that aside. And let me wipe this off here. So I'm just going to leave this out because next we're going to do the stamping for the little circle. And you notice I didn't put my gold paint away. We're gonna use that. We'll need to add a little bit of that to our circle here. Okay, so now I have, it's Happy Mother's Day. It's all one line, and I don't want it all one line. And I could do my usual trick and vandalize it and cut it into 3 pieces, but I don't use this stamp a whole lot, so I'm going to mask off portions of my stamp. So I'm going to stamp Happy first. So let me mask off all but, well, I'm going to mask off next to it. And I'm just going to, just just going to sneak in on the side here on my ink pad and just get that happy. See, just the happy, and then of course it went over a little bit on the mother's part, but that's okay because we're going to peel off that tape. And we're going to stamp the happy. Okay, so that tape's no good anymore. Throw that away. And then you're going to clean the happy. Clean all that black ink off a happy. Because next we're going to move over. We're going to mask off all but Mother's. Okay. So we're masking off the happy. And we're going to mask off Day. And like I said, if you don't want to go through all this, it's actually quicker just to print it out on your printer, if you have a printer. Okay, so I've got it all masked off here, except for Mother's. I'm going to ink that up. Peel off the tapes. And when you do that, you want to make sure you don't pull your stamp up, or that's going to make a mess. Yes, I've done that before. Okay, then we're going to center that under Happy, which is easy to do since these are photopolymer stamps and we can see through them. Alright, so now we'll clean up Mother. Get that cleaned off. And now we're going to mask off everything but Day. And we'll stamp that. So far, so good. You see, I chickened out on the first one, and I did it just in 2 sections, Happy and then Mother's Day. But I'm going to go for the full Monty on this one. Alright, so I just masked off next to the Day, and I just kind of snuck in on the side of my ink pad here too, again, like I did on Happy. Peel that tape off and make sure we're stamping it right side up. And then we're going to stamp that right below Mother's. And there we go. We're ready to punch that out. So let's see, I think I'm done with this too now. I don't need that black ink either. Okay. So just slide that into your circle punch there, get it centered. And ooh, that scares me. Punch that out. Now I added a little bit of the gold metallic here. But, you know, we got that part there that we picked up the Cajun Craze. So it's kind of coppery, and I'll just go around the edges here. Just to give this little banner a little something something. Okay, so that's done. Now we can throw the sponge dauber into the bucket too, and let me grab a baby wipe because I'm going to wipe this off. It will come off of my tile, but when it's good and dry, it's a little bit harder to do. Okay, so there we go. So just remember, anytime you use acrylic paints with your stamps, or actually oh, what am I thinking? The pigment inks, you want to clean them right away. You don't want that drying on your stamps. So now it's time to put the card together. So let me bring in my card base. I've got my pink pirouette here. we're going to attach the stamped front that we made to the pink pirouette first. And I'm going to use Tombow. We have just a tiny little border of that pink. So I want to make sure that if I have to, I can move it. Let's see, if I did that with the tape runner, the snail, I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't have this little bit of wiggle room time. Okay, there we go. That looks good. Now on the back, I am going to put some snail. We put 2 lines down what will be the bottom of the card. You see, this will be the bottom. So I put 2 lines of the snail because now we're going to put the ribbon on. Oh my gosh, look how pretty that is. Okay, so I'm going to line it up and fold it under, and it sticks right to that snail. Okay, and then we're ready to put this on the card front. So let's put some more snail on the back here. And we'll center that, and we're going to have about 1/4 inch showing all the way around on our front. And then we just need to put our little circle on, and for that I use the Tombow because I thought it would stick a little bit better to my ribbon. And I want it at a jaunty angle, just like that. Okay, so that's done. And we can put our inside panel. And that just has about 1/8 of an inch showing all the way around. Okay. So there you have it. It's our Mother's Day card. I hope you enjoyed this technique with using it, but just remember, anytime you use acrylics, and make sure they are acrylic paints, not like some kind of enamel or anything like that, then you want to wash your stamps right away. So, y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.